Thank you so much. Thank you, girls. Yeah, thank you so much for staying to that long, later hour, basically, to hear my speech. So it's the first time I'm talking about me on the conference. So let's get started then. And the topic is how to start a startup. And I'm going to share my story basically with you. Maybe you'll find something in it that will fit into your life. Maybe there is some advice or wisdom, or maybe the red flag you just take out of this speech basically. So maybe just a short intro. I already had one, but just to let you know basically. I graduated computer science and econometrics a long time ago, let's not say the year. And I've been recently studying MBA for startups, and I hope I'm going to graduate within a year. Fingers crossed. And I have a experience in IT for the last 17 years. I worked in different roles. Half of my time was in the business intelligence space or data analytics, and the other half was in a software development. So I gathered a lot of experience in all those fields to actually do something about it. And that's the speech is about. So let me start about my startup life. So I did this calculation for the sake of the presentation today. My startup life is like a 5% right now. So it's a very, very early stage, but I feel like I have a couple of things to share with you and why I can help you out to maybe follow or not follow my journey because of that, you know? Half of my IT career was like dreaming to start something on my own. So there will be a message at the end of the speech for you all to take home and rethink, but that's what you should know about me at the start, like how to save 42% of your time. That's my plan today to share with you. So I'm gonna share with you my overnight startup story that took me 15 over years to prep for. Yes, but we have to do like a one step back, 30 years back, okay? So imagine there was a girl long, long time ago. That's not me, but yeah. And I was the girl and the child that was trying to sell things to people, like in my neighborhood. I had a chocolate bar stand. I had doll clothing sewing services basically going on at the age of like 7. So I had that in me somehow. And it was actually trying and scratching from the inside for years to come out. And then the next love in my life was the passion for computers. So I can tell you that was a passion, and I will bring you the very embarrassing story relates to that fact. So when I was like 7 or 8, my uncle went with me to the store to buy the first computer of mine, and unfortunately there was no computer on the storage. I mean, not the one we wanted to buy. We wanted to buy Amiga. Amiga was the thing at the time, basically. So I made a huge scene in the store. I was laying on the floor. I was crying. My uncle was like very embarrassed, and he had no idea how to handle the situation. So he was like, asked the guy, okay, what do you have? And the guy was like, we have Commodore 64. So my uncle was like, it will do. It has to do. Yeah. Take it. We're taking it. Okay. So that was my passion. And now we jump into my career, right? So I think I haven't planned that fully, like for the sake of startup, but turns out I'm that kind of a person trying to like learn different things. So I spent some time in data analytics. I spent some time in the data imaging. I spent some time in the software development. I also managed teams, basically. So at some point I was like, okay, what's next for me? Is it like retirement or what I'm gonna do with my life? Like right now it's like becoming like maybe director, maybe like a VP of something, I don't know. And then this whole, Magda at age 7 just walked up in my head. It was like, okay, maybe I should go for it and do something for myself, right? And I did the first attempts. And I can tell you I had no network, no connections. No one from my friends is working or was working in the startup scene. Like I knew literally no one, basically. So I did my first attempts. Somewhere in the middle of the COVID, I started to code and build my own social fitness app because it's a tech conference, right? So probably most of you are somehow, coding or related to, like, connected with the product building, basically. So I did what I knew the best at the time. So I started to code the app. I had a dream. This app will become big, like a second Instagram or something, right? That was the dream. But nothing was happening, crickets. So I decided to go out with this idea. And I applied to a couple of programs. Obviously, there are different programs for the early stage startups, like for people wanting to be entrepreneurs and all this stuff. So I applied wherever I felt like I may fit with my idea. And this is how I found the MBA for startups at the SDGH University. And I'm not saying everyone should do the MBA for the sake of building a startup, but I would say that that was an amazing experience. I also got the grant for this study, so half of my tuition is paid. So I can say that the most richest man in Poland is paying for my studies. Pretty good. And I felt like, okay, I met so many amazing people there, like people who want to start a startup, started startup, had a startup, failed, all the types of people are studying with me. So I decided to take it to another level, basically. And I was just saying myself, okay, I think I'm ready. I think I fit into this environment. So let's do something about it, right? And then what happened is, I think it just deserves its own slide. It's Antler. So it's not an advertisement or anything, but for me personally, it actually changed my life, really. So Antler is an early stage founder matching program. There's a couple of those programs in the world, basically. And Antler is like in 27 countries around the globe. And one of the places they are is Berlin. So I applied. They have thousands of applicants, but I got in. And I remember that it meant basically I have to move to Berlin for 3 months. And I had my job as an engineering manager. So what I did, I just went to my manager at the time and I said, I'm quitting because I have this 3 months program that I need to join. And it has to be on place. And he was like looking at me like, okay, what is she doing? Is she having like a breakdown or something, But I did it. Actually, I did it. I said bye to my husband for 3 months. So he also was like super happy to like see me doing it. Yes, but he was very supportive. I mean, he knew that there is this small Magda in me and just that wants to get out. And this is how the AMARS was born, my first startup. And the old story is that throughout that program, I met amazing co-founder Cassie. She's on that picture on the left. And we actually finished that program, winning the investment. So we got the first investment from Antler. That just put us onto acceleration, basically. And then we applied to another accelerator, which is Reactor Berlin. We won like this spot out of the 200 startups, early stage startups that were trying to get in. So we were one of the 6. And then we applied to the incubator run by the quite well-known prestigious VC in Berlin and Germany, which is Illibert. So that is how the journey accelerated for us. And you may ask, okay, what are you doing, Magda? What exactly is your startup about? So we are the AI platform that helps sales teams to close deals faster and get more revenue. And we're trying to do that by being very AI native. So we have our machine learning models, basically. We have our large language models, and we put all of that together in work to help sales teams sell, basically. And then what's coming for us? So you may ask, okay, there is a startup. Okay, they're doing something. What's next? So obviously everything runs fast, and the next on our journey is the demo day. So we will have one like next week in Berlin. Hopefully there will be lots of investors in the room, and they're gonna invest in us. Fingers crossed. We're gonna also release the MVP, which I'm currently building. So I'm a technical co-founder. So basically that's my main role, right, to build the product. And we want to really fundraise at some point in time. Hopefully before the summer, we want to start like a fundraising process and get some money to hire the team. And also me personally, I'm super happy because that's why also I put it on the slide. I'm joining the huge Think VC Accelerator in Warsaw, and this is the Female Founders Fundraising Academy. So I hope they're gonna teach me how to fundraise, right? So yeah, what would I do differently, right? Now is the time like to answer your questions, and I gathered some of those questions from the friends of mine from my MBA classes. And they told me, okay, probably people would love to know what would you do differently this time. And the only answer I have is I would just start it much earlier. I would save myself this 42% of the time that I was trying to. I was willing to work on something or wanting to be this startup founder, but it took me so much time to get there. So the message is don't follow my story. Don't follow it, just start. Just basically start, and I know it's simple to say, very cliche, but it's a lot of things behind it. Why? Because you'll never be ready. And I was not ready. I was not ready to quit my job. I was not ready to move to Berlin. I was not ready to work with someone I had never met before on something. I was not ready to incorporate a company with that person and go to the lawyer office and sign the papers. I was not ready for that at all. But there is one ingredient which makes you actually do it. And that ingredient is the combination of fear and your need and desire. So fear always stays. And I had tried a couple of methods how to mitigate the fear. You know, there's this Tim Ferriss fear method that you analyze your fear, find the ways to mitigate that fear. I mean, you name it, I did it. And nothing works, basically. The only thing that worked was this kind of desire to do something. And it was growing in me so much that I had to do it. I had no other choice. Like it took over me, basically, the whole desire of like building this startup. And you may ask yourself, because you know I have this 17 years of experience, right? So why is she talking about startups? Am I ready? Because she spent so much time like prepping herself. And believe me, there are different opinions about that, but always are good. You can start early, you can start late. So if you're not experienced, obviously you have the advantage because you have lots of energy, lots of optimism, you have friends, family, people that can support you, work for free for your startup. And there's also so-called Dunning-Kruger effects that work for your advantage, right? Because Dunning-Kruger effect is like when you don't know the topic, you think that you're already good at it. And if you don't know something, you like overestimate your skills, and that's good. In startup world, that's amazing. That's what investors look for. They want to know that you are the person that's going to build it. You don't know something, doesn't matter. You're going to learn. So they just want to see this kind of a drive and desire in you that you can combat all the obstacles in front of you. But obviously, when you're not an experienced person, you're gonna learn it. Yeah, you're gonna basically learn it the hard way, right? So you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. There'll be a lot of like leadership, managerial things on your way that you've never experienced, never worked with people on that level, and that will be probably scary. And the biggest one, you may not feel like you're taken seriously. And then when you're experienced, the things that work to your advantage is that you may have connections, you may know people experience as well who could probably jump on this ship with you. You have this life wisdom, so lots of things are like just obvious for you. You don't care that much. But you know, the fact of having knowledge is very causing lots of biases. Like you may have a narrow thinking. You may not think of the ideas that someone without experience would think of because they think in the broad way. They don't take their experience under consideration at all, right? And then when you are experienced, probably you're older, so you have a family and other responsibilities in your life that could be a problem. So I can give you a few tips how to start prepping yourself. So what you can do today to start your startup journey, you can probably start building your first project because that's what we do the best as a techie people, right? Building stuff. You have to get out of the comfort zone. Whatever comfort zone is for you. For me, it was like staying at one type of job doing one type of IT job. That was the comfort zone, and I was trying to like face it every single time that I was changing the job. Yep. And then also you can find a circle find the people that can actually have the same idea for life as you do. And that's the most important. Like the network of people is like the crucial to actually do something about your startup desire, and journey. And if you want some very specifics, I think you can also start reading some books. I do believe that reading books is like the core thing for every single startup founder. It's like those big names, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, they read. And that's the core to like have a various of knowledge from different domains and just connect the dots, You can also start listening to the podcast. This is the list of mine, which really helped me to like prep myself mentally for this journey, basically, I do encourage you to take a look at those. Some of those just show the startup world in a funny way. Some of those are much more serious, but basically put yourself in the mode, right? So what you can do next after you prep yourself mentally, there are a couple of ways. And I would suggest those founder matching programs. I really encourage you to try one. At Y Combinator, the most famous accelerator in the world, they have this founder matching website you can use to find someone who's interested in the same topic as you do. You can join other, as I did. It works. You can also join a couple of different like Polish programs. I heard of the PFR, the School of Pioneers. A friend of mine was actually joining it last few months ago, and I do encourage you to do that. Or also, if you're like looking more on the over the sea in the US, there is the Menlo Ventures. They actually the early investor of Uber, and they have a fellowship program where you can find your co-founder, but you have to probably consider like moving to the US. And there are also the early stage accelerators for the teams that already formed. So, like for example, Atler is also doing it. There is like a Polish VC, Smoke Ventures. They have their Reactor X program. There is a huge thing in Warsaw. They collaborate with the Google for Startups and obviously the jewel in the crowd, Google for Startups program. I'm not sure if you guys know, Poland is one of the 7 countries where there is a Google for Startup campus. So that's a big thing. And then if those 2 options are not for you, probably you can just start as an early employee at one of those startups. And you probably will learn a lot and get a lot of equity, So what you should expect, I think, in my opinion, everything and nothing. So you don't have to put yourself in the kind of thinking that I have to get out of this something, because 95% of startups fail. And I'm not a lunatic here. I totally understand that my startup may fail, and the probability of it is much higher than me gaining out of that any kind of money or anything else, except of experience. So that kind of the list of mine, like things that I expected and didn't expect it. So I thought the idea mattered, right? Because I was just looking for it for such a very long time. And then it turned out when I joined this accelerator, like there's 50 people in the room having amazing ideas. And each of this person has actually 4 other ideas like in the line to think of. So it's not about the idea. It's also not about product, because there is lots of great people able to build the product. It's more about like the whole aspects of running the business. And the biggest misconceptions of mine, like I can do it on my own. I thought I can. It's not possible. Startup is a team game. And also I thought I can do the startup thing while working full-time job. And unfortunately, I have to be the messenger here, that if you want to take your startup into another level, probably it's not going to happen where you were working the full-time job, because you're just giving the startup the leftovers, the time that you have after your best hours of your mental capabilities, and the startup needs your entire focus, basically. But if you're ready for the hard work, a lot of hard work, like the amount of hard work I've never imagined before, and I was ready for hard work, to be honest. And if you feel like you want to build the network of people around you, to just find yourself in the circle where the other people feel the same about their journeys, they have the same interests, then the startup is a perfect way to find those people. And obviously, you have to be ready for a marathon. So it looks like a sprint, but in reality, it's a marathon. So, like Figma, the company that you may know, that is building the UX tool, right? They're saying they have the 10-year overnight success as a startup because it takes that long to actually build something, you know? And that's kind of my story and my tips for you. I hope I helped somehow, or maybe ruined some dreams. Who knows? But you tell me if there are any questions.